I'm from Talladega, Alabama. I lived there for most of my life. I did my senior thesis on the history of coal mining in Alabama. To do something where we could, in some small way, diminish the impact of that just environmentally destructive process was important to us.
I feel that putting solar panels on our roof and therefore reducing the amount of pollution that we're responsible for is a way of loving our neighbor, and not just our neighbors now, but future generations as well, including our daughters.
Here we are, probably 2 weeks away from being off-grid, so it's very exciting.
So the South actually has, as most people would imagine, a pretty amazing solar resource. So it's not as abundant as some places like the desert Southwest, but compared to most of the country, we have a really strong solar resource.
Using the sun directly is just cutting out the middleman. That's all it is. Because all the fossil fuels that we have, the water, everything on Earth is generated by the sun. So the beauty of using the sun directly is that we cut out the toxins.
Say you were to install your own coal-fired steam generator. You would need to pay for coal to fuel that all the time. By using a technology like solar energy to generate electricity, your fuel source is free. It's the sun and it's there and it's renewable.
You could just explain the basics.
Basics?
To someone that doesn't know anything about it.
Okay, well you have, of course you got the sun, and you have a solar panel, a photovoltaic panel is made up of semiconductor material. And so when the light strikes this PV material, the silicon, it excites electrons to begin moving and causes them to flow and create voltage and power. It takes that sunlight and converts it into DC electricity. Then the DC electricity is taken and fed to a charge controller, which could go to batteries, or it could go straight to an inverter, and it takes and converts it from DC electricity into AC electricity, which most loads in all our homes are operated off AC. As far as clean air goes, you can't go wrong with this. You may create a little pollution by manufacturing the PV, but then after it's implemented, there's no noise pollution, there's no air pollution. You know, it's just utilizing the sunshine to create electricity. So I think it's a great option versus building more power plants and things of that nature. I think the education component is good because that way you have a workforce that can actually do the installation, do the design, and things like that.
Within my company, I've hired several contractors for installations. So every time our company gets a solar power system sale, I'm sending orders to solar module manufacturers, I'm sending orders to wire companies, I'm sending orders to inverter companies, and all that has a trickle-down effect, right, of stimulating the economy and putting people to work.
Well, we were very fortunate with Mr. Weatherspoon's Habitat Home. We had a little bit of extra grant money, and we wondered how to spend that, and so our construction director said, let's try solar. I think it saved Mr. Weatherspoon about half on his utility bill every month, on his power bill. Most of our families, if they're not living paycheck to paycheck, they're living very close. And when you can basically just put money in their pockets at the end of every month, that is an enormous benefit. Solar power is important to people of any income level. It's better for the environment. It saves people money every month. We have applied for a grant to do battery pack solar on 38 homes. We really hope to set an example for the rest of the community that solar is something that is accessible, that benefits people, and that is a wonderful investment in our community.
Coal is a limited resource, and it's a foregone conclusion that we're going to have to find alternatives now or later. I think as best as we can expedite that process, the better for future generations, and make it not a sudden change, ease our way into it. That definitely influenced our decision.
It's important to me that I have that freedom. If I want to take my house off grid and I don't want to be connected to anything else, that we have the technology to do that. PV is important to me for our country to be independent. It's not a silver bullet, it doesn't solve all the problems, and there's all kinds of issues all out there that we all have to learn to live with. But you know what, when we started the grid back with, at the turn of the century, there were a lot of issues had to be worked out at that time, and I have belief in the people of the United States that we'll be able to figure all that out.
The system here is a 20 kilowatt system. It uses 3 inverters, and that's loaded onto the grid. It's called a grid-tied system. And then after that, then all the energy it produces just comes off my electric bill. And every month I get an electric bill that says, here's how much you used, minus here's how much you produced, and then the net value is what I owe the utility company. So my utility bill's gone down by 60% in the last year. What amazed me is on electricity, you have to create 3.4 kilowatt hours of energy at the source of energy, at the dam or at the coal plant, in order to get 1 kilowatt hour at the house. You're actually saving the generation of 3.4 kilowatt hours. It works so well at the farm that I said, well, let's just take it to the company. And we just finished cutting the ribbon on a 50 kW solar system there. There should be a lot more solar energy in it. The problem isn't in the sun's ability to create energy. The problem is in the system, the political system, the states, the power companies.
It's amazing to see the stark dividing line between Alabama Power Territory and the Tennessee Valley Authority's utility territory in the northern part of the state.
In 2013, the Alabama Public Service Commission supported a proposal that the power company, Alabama Power, had requested of a tax on people that generate their own electricity. And unfortunately, it's one of the highest taxes of its kind in the country. The next highest, my understanding, is around 70 cents per kilowatt, and Alabama has $5 per kilowatt. And so for a typical homeowner that's putting a less than 5 kW system on their house, they'll pay $25 a month. Now that might not sound like very much, but whenever you add that up for a full year and then you add that to the life of a system, 20 to 30 years, it really becomes a financial disincentive.
There's no possible way that solar power is worth something so significantly different in Huntsville than it is in Birmingham, but that is what customers are experiencing. Georgia Power has made a proactive decision to invest in solar farms throughout the state, and that is creating hundreds of millions of dollars in savings for customers. These are typically going in rural communities and places where they really desperately need investment and tax revenue. You've also got a lot of construction jobs at the outset of these projects that are going to be going to local people who are living in those communities. So there's a lot of economic benefits from those types of projects. Alabama Power in particular is the only utility in the South that hasn't made some significant investment to date.
We did a survey this spring and we had more than 1,600 responses. And of those, 78% said that they would like for their utilities to utilize solar energy more as one of their top energy choices.
One thing I would encourage people to do is to engage with their Public Service Commission. Regardless of where you live, figure out who is regulating your utility, what programs does your utility have for solar power and energy efficiency? How can you take advantage of the things that are already out there? And what are the avenues for you to advocate for more of what you would like to see from your utility? Solar is incredibly popular across all sides of the political spectrum, and Americans want to see more of it, Alabamians want to see more of it, and so creating an opportunity for a conversation around that and how to bring Alabama Power along in a way that allows them to stay whole and to adapt to these new changing markets, and also protect customers' rights to harness these technologies without being penalized. We've had that in other parts of the South, places like Georgia and South Carolina, and I think it's high time that we had those conversations in Alabama as well.
I'm not just taking energy from some other place and leaving a mess and powering my house. It's coming right off my roof and the sun is bringing it, and it's a closed loop. We know exactly where energy is coming from and we know exactly how it's being used. My grandparents were born 95 years ago, and I knew them. In another 95 years, my great-grandchildren are going to be walking on this earth, and I hope that it's going to be a great earth to live on. It's a decision and it's a direction that our country is going to have to move in. The world is going to have to move in. I just see that as a necessity.